What's up? Today we're going to be making this really easy rotating object belt animation. This is really cool for product renders or anything else you want to spice up a little bit. I'm not going to waste too much of your time, so let's just get straight into it. So you want to start off by either making some models or finding some on the internet that you want to use for this. I'm going to be remaking the soda can ice cube animation you saw at the start. And if you want to use these same models, the blend file will be in the description if you would just want to follow along and try it out for yourself. But you can do this with pretty much any models at all, as long as it makes sense, I guess. So I'm gonna hide our main object for now because we won't need it. But these two ice cubes, what we're gonna do is we're gonna select them, or whatever objects you have, and you wanna press M on your keyboard and you wanna add them to their own collection. So I'm gonna call mine ice cubes for obvious reasons. And you also want to make sure that these objects have their origin set to geometry. So just, if you're not sure, select them all, object, set origin to geometry, just like that. And we're going to hide this collection as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a circle under the curve menu here. And then you're just going to add a simple cube. Let me just go down to solid shading here. Scale the cube down and position it so it's on the circle that you just made. And with the cube selected, you're going to go into your particle system menu here, and we're going to add a particle system, and we can just call this ice cubes. So we're going to go into the render tab and set this render as to collection and change the collection here to the collection we just made. So mine is ice cubes. I'm adding that, and then we're going to select a circle, go into our physics properties tab and add a force field. And the only thing you're going to change here is the type, and we're going to change that to curve guide. So if we simulate that now, the ice cubes will be going around the curve that you made, but they are very small. So let's change that. So go back to the cube, and we're going to go back into our particle system tab here. And the first thing I'm going to change is I'm going to change the scale under the render tab. So I'm going to make these a lot bigger. And I'm also going to change the number to like the 40 or something. Yeah, that looks fine. So you can change the number to whatever you want, depending on how large your objects are that are rotating around your main object. So it makes sense. You want to keep scale in mind when you're doing this. And then we're also going to check the rotation tab and set this to 1. And we're going to go back to frame 0 and simulate it again. And what this does, it's just rotating every object randomly, so it looks more organic and not as CGI looking. So what if you realize you want the belt to have a bigger radius? That's pretty simple. All you do is you select the circle, scale it up, and then just apply the scale, run it back from the beginning in the timeline, and just simulate it, and you should have a bigger belt. But I don't want that, so I'm going to undo it. And if you want the belt to say, let's have a bigger, I don't know what you call this, width, I guess. You just scale it on the Z-axis, apply scale, and then just run it back. And then you can see the cubes are sort of moving, with the height of the cube. But I don't want that either. I'm actually gonna scale this down on the Z-axis just a little bit, so it's a little more uniform. And let me find now a frame that looks good to me, because we're gonna be converting this into a mesh and then just animating it that way. So let me just go through here, see what looks good. I like this. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna have these cubes selected, or whatever it is, and you're gonna go into your modifiers tab, and you're gonna click on this button, make instances real. So after you've done that, it's gonna generate a bunch of these meshes individually. So what we're gonna do while we have them all selected, we're gonna press M again and add them to a new collection. Let's call this ice cube belt. Hide it for 1 second, because now we can just get rid of this cube, this circle, we don't need it anymore. And then let's re-enable this. So now let's animate them. So I'm gonna go Shift A, empty, and I'm gonna add a cube, scale it down, make sure it's in the world origin. And we're gonna parent all of our objects to this empty right here. So the easiest way to do this, if you have a lot of objects, of course I could just manually shift click all of them, but the easiest way, if you have, let's say, 500 ice cubes or rocks or whatever, you hide the empty, go into your top view. You can do this with the Z key up here or tilde key and go top. and select all of them, then unhide the empty, shift click on the empty, and then press Control P and set parent to object. So now that we rotate this empty, the cubes rotate around it. Pretty simple. So we're gonna do a simple 2 keyframe animation here. So select your empty and go into the Object Properties tab and create a keyframe with this little button here on the Z rotation. Leave it at 0, and then let's go to frame, let's say 80. And we're gonna move this empty, let's say 120 degrees. And then just press this keyframe button again. And there you go, you have your ice cubes rotating around the empty. Let's just make this look slightly better. I'm gonna drag this out and go into my graph editor. And I'm just frame all with tilde key, frame all. And I'm just gonna tweak these graph curves just a little bit. Something like that maybe. Then we'll have like a nicer animation. Okay, cool. So if we look at our animation right now, it looks fine, but the cubes, they have like no motion outside of the rotating around the, axis of the empty. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna animate a random rotation for each of the cubes on their local axis. If that doesn't make sense, it will in a second. Let me just show it to you. So just select all of them. You can do it by just dragging over them, or you can right click on the collection in your outliner and press select objects. And you're gonna go to frame 0 and just press I on your keyboard and insert a rotation keyframe. Then go roughly to about the same frame you did the other keyframe, if you remember that. And then go to Object, Transform, and Randomize Transform. Now I already tweaked some settings here. These are all gonna be 0 for you. But what you wanna do is you would just wanna drag these around. You can do higher values, lower values, just play around with it. And you see that the cubes start to rotate on their own axis. And we're gonna animate this. So press I on your keyboard again while you're on frame 80. And you have rotated the cubes, and do another rotation keyframe. So now, if we play this again, you will see that they rotate on their own axis, and this looks pretty cool. So you can also tweak the graph here to give it that same sort of form, but if you select them all, it's gonna look real crazy, and I don't even have that many objects, so it could look even crazier for you. But if you wanna do this, it's actually pretty easy. The way I do it is I select the second keyframe, then hold Control and select the the middle and the right keyframes here. And this is gonna deselect them, and now I can just move these handles around with G and then X, and then just move them to the left. And we're gonna copy the same thing here and move these right about like that, so it matches the rotation animation of the empty. So this could look just a little better, a little bit more professional. So now that we have this, let me bring in our empty and our soda can back. And I'm just gonna move this empty up so this makes more sense compositionally, and play the animation. That looks all right. So what's great about this, you can actually move any of these cubes around and they will stick in that place. So if I wanna, have these cubes be more uniform, I can just change their position and that will stick. So yeah, that looks pretty good. If you wanna hide these shadows here that are casted by the object, it's pretty simple. You wanna just select all the cubes, go into your object properties, shading, visibility, and disable shadow under ray visibility, and that will no longer cast shadows. But I'm gonna keep it in. And the last thing we're gonna do actually is we're gonna rotate this empty on an axis so that it looks just slightly more visually interesting. So let's hide the soda can here, and we're gonna add another empty. Let's add a sphere this time. And we're gonna position this right about in the middle of that cube, scale it down. And we're actually gonna select the cube and then the sphere, same thing, Control P, and now we have a parent of the cube. And now let's rotate this sphere around the x-axis, or the y-axis rather, in my case. Re-enable the soda can, and if we play the animation, now it has sort of a rotating belt, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I hope you found this video useful or learned something new. This is my first tutorial actually, and I'm still learning how to make these, so throw a white boy a thumbs up or a sub. Yeah man, that's it. Peace out.